So Denise, let's talk about the first principle, start inside. This sounds a lot like company culture. How important is company culture to building a brand?
It's critically important. You know, culture is what determines whether your employees understand your brand, whether they'll embrace it, and then whether they will appropriately interpret and reinforce it with your customers. So you really need to make sure that everyone in your company understands what your brand stands for and what your brand values are.
What I loved about this is oftentimes when people explain a brand to me, they think about it in terms of marketing or advertising or something like that. And what I'm hearing you say is the brand doesn't get built out there. It gets built inside first. And that it's how our people think about it and how our customers think about it. Am I reading that right?
Absolutely. What I think is happening in today's culture is that people know what's going on behind the scenes. At one point, you might have been able to build a great brand just by putting out a message or an image. But now people tend to look at what are you doing behind the scenes. And so it's very important for you to start inside and build your brand by what you do and then what you say.
Very interesting. Was there an example that you saw that particularly stands out for you about starting inside?
Well, a lot of the chapter talks about IBM
Okay.
and the effort that Sam Palmisano led when he took over the reins at the company. You know, he had faced two very formidable challenges when he started. The first is that the company's business model was changing, going from hardware to software and services. So he needed to lead the organization to succeed in that business model. He also faced a workforce that was that maybe bred a sense of entitlement and arrogance because IBM had been so big for so long. So he really needed to do something that would change things within the organization. He put on a values jam where he invited all 50,000 employees from around the world to go online and participate in a digital dialogue about IBM's values, because he said these values are what define us and distinguish us. They are our brand. So it wasn't a typical or conventional choice to work on your values first, but Sam knew that unless you engage your people in greatness, they're unlikely to deliver that greatness to your customers. So he started inside.
Now you had a couple of really interesting tools. One is the brand alignment toolbox. Could you speak to that a little bit?
You know, it's important not to take for granted that the people within your organization get your brand. And so you want to equip them with tools that help them first in their heads understand what your brand stands for. In their hearts be motivated to support your brand and to make changes. And then equip them with their hands and their feet, give them actual tools and processes and decision-making frameworks that help them actually make on-brand decisions and behaviors every day. So a toolbox provides that kind of those kinds of resources for your employees.
And another tool that's similar but a little bit different are the brand engagement sessions.
Right. You can't just create a toolbox and expect people to use it. What you need to do is really engage people with it. So I recommend that you engage everyone in your organization with your brand and with your brand tools in a highly interactive, dynamic, maybe even fun session where you get people to really interpret for themselves what does this brand mean and what is my role in bringing it to life.
Great. Let's take a look at how some people have used this principle in particular.
Sounds good.